From carrying out primary and secondary research, I've established that my target audience on a mass scale is primarily adults from the age of 19 upwards from a more middle class educated background. It will be for both men and women because although it will focus on a male's sort of point of view, it will relate to women as well because I'll be interviewing both genders so that men and women can relate to what's happening. I feel that it will also relate to all ethnic backgrounds and religious backgrounds because neither category will be specifically picked out within the documentary, and I'll interview a wide variety of people from different backgrounds anyway with different beliefs, and so it will create a wider audience. My documentary will also have a niche audience of anyone who's affected by dementia because it could be anyone of any age, so even from a younger audience who would want to watch it because they know someone who's got the illness, or if an older person actually has it themselves, they'll also be able to relate to the documentary. It would also have an audience of anyone who enjoys TV programmes on either BBC One or BBC Three. To find out who my target audience was, I first carried out some primary research by creating a questionnaire of about 10 questions. I then gave it to 30 people. The first 10 were aged between 12 and 18, the second was aged between 19 and 30, and the final category was 31 upwards. And for each category I chose 5 men, 5 women to get a more representative range of data. From the questionnaires I then put the quantitative data that I found from them into pie charts so it was clearer to see, and these are the pie charts that I made. I made one for each category, and for a closer look at those, they do have an individual page on this page so you can see them more clearly, and basically it shows me that the older someone gets, the more interested in documentaries they are, and the more likely they'll be to watch a documentary focused on dementia. They also show me that there's a 50-50 divide between the 30+ category about whether they prefer single episode documentaries or a series documentaries, and therefore due to my documentary being a one-off episode it wouldn't affect the data at all. So from this question I did research into what TV channel one-off documentaries are more likely to be on, and I found out that it was a BBC channel, either 1 or 3, and this corresponds with my data as many questionnaires came back saying that BBC Three was one of the preferred channels, so I'd air my documentary on either BBC One or BBC Three. I also did interviews with a select few people who didn't take my questionnaire, so there was a variety of different ages, and I wanted to see if it was going to correspond with the information I got from the questionnaires. And from my interviews I found out that it would still be an older audience who's interested in the documentary I'm making, because a younger audience doesn't really watch that many documentaries anyway, and if they were to watch one they wanted it to be about the music industry. The final way I got my primary research was to test audience reactions. I showed a group of different people, different aged people, a short clip from a documentary called Terry Pratchett Choosing to Die, and as it's the most similar one I've found to what I want my documentary to be like, I then asked them some questions about the clip, asking how they felt about it, if they liked it, would they watch anything similar to this again, and similarly this did correspond with my other primary research as well, and I found out that a younger audience is more interested in a documentary based around sort of celebrity culture rather than sort of real life issues. For my secondary research I looked for articles revolving around existing documentaries, and I found out that the Terry Pratchett documentary that I asked people to watch airs at 9 p.m, so after Watershed, with competitive documentaries as well, so they all air at about 9 p.m. Sort of this showed me that documentaries tend to show after Watershed, so they're going to be primarily for an older audience. One of the questions in my questionnaire was asking about occupation, and that was so that I could determine the specific demographic for my documentary, and I feel that it would fit with Group B and C1 as they stereotypically meet a educated middle class background, which is the audience I'm aiming for anyway. With regards to psychographics, I feel that I'd be targeting the categories succeeded and resigners. Succeeders because they have more middle class educational jobs who would be more inclined to watch a documentary about dementia because it's going to be a bit more educational. And the resigned category because they're interested in the past and tradition and are more of an older audience anyway, so would therefore perhaps be able to relate to the focus subject and would be interested in the past of the illness as well. I'm going to target my particular target audience by using similar aged people for interviews so that they can make an immediate familiarisation and sort of relate to what they're saying. And I'll include many facts as well about the illness so that my focus subject will be sort of educational to those who are watching it. So if they wanted to learn about the illness, they'd be able to do that as well as seeing the emotional side of things. And for my niche audience of those who can relate to dementia but are slightly younger, I'll sort of interview my granddad anyway so they can see how similar the illness is for each person who's got it.